before dawn, milk cows, work all day in the fields, milk cows again, eat supper, then go to town and stay past midnight at a meeting of the school board.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Agriculture is people.
Definitely.
What do the other 99% do? What options do they have available to them because they don't have to worry about where their food comes from?
Low prices squeezed essentially every farmer in America. But you farmers did what you always do. You kept on keeping on and you persevered.
Hello and welcome to the Four Corner Ag Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Wirtz. Again, this week we have no co-host. Tyson and Maverick are both out doing whatever they're doing, living life out on the farm. I guess the day that this thing goes out, it'll be, a mile, I bet. You know what? I bet we're just getting done with state CDEs and things like that. And so, it's been busy. We keep busy as officers and everything in this state association. So I guarantee you that whatever Maverick and Tyson are up to is very important, and they're having fun doing it, which is what's important. So I'm pretty excited, and I think you guys are going to be pretty excited for today's episode as well. We've got the ever-promised but hadn't come back yet part 2 of Naomi Yates. It's going to be pretty awesome. I know I'm excited. Going to learn some more stuff about nature and conservation, all sorts of different fun stuff. We've got Naomi laughing in the background here, but it's going to be fun. I think that we've got some new stuff for her to plug of whatever she's been working on too, and so maybe you can go back and listen to last week's episode and then use some of that knowledge to listen in on this episode, so you can have, precursor knowledge. I don't know what you're going to do. I can't control what you listeners do every day, but I think it's going to be pretty awesome. I'm excited for the episode, so let's jump into it. Naomi, how are you?
Hey, I'm busy, but good. Busy. How are you?
Oh, you know what? I sure can't complain. Yeah, just been staying busy as well. Honestly, we're getting ready for state convention and everything, so the officer year is coming to an end very quickly, much quicker than I'm expecting it. So,
yeah, I've got 6 college classes that I'm in right now, and then a new job I'm starting at the end of May, so.
My goodness gracious.
Busy times.
6 classes. How many credits is that?
It's 18 credits.
I think I've seen people on my Snapchat complain about less credits than that. So I'd say you're doing pretty well.
It's the max that they'll let you take. Oh. Yeah. I'm learning a lot. I'm trying to make other people learn a lot too, which I'll talk about in a while, I think.
That's a good deal. That's the way that that's the way we're supposed to be. Always learning, always developing our brains, expanding our knowledge. I think that's the best way to be. So I don't know. I guess I'll let you update us on what life has been since I think it's been 2 months or something like that since we recorded the last episode. So just I don't know.
Yeah, we're a little bit more settled in now since the fire.
Right.
Things are starting to look a bit more green. It's been interesting to see what the fire's done and like springtime, the snow melt and all that sort of stuff. With the fire gone through, there's not much to slow down the water that's coming off from snow melt.
Right.
So the water seems a lot higher, a lot dirtier. But as time goes on, we don't know what's going to happen. But right now it's looking it's optimistic because the grass is popping. But at the same time, we're worried that the runoff's going to come off too fast and it's just going to dry out.
Right.
Really, really bad.
Yeah, there's not much soaking.
Hopefully it'll just be like a relatively rainy year, but not like the rainy year we had after the Hyde Park fire that caused a bunch of flooding. So
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I completely
Yeah.
forgot about that. Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
It's been interesting. But the grass is starting to pop and it's not looking so black.
Right.
The trees are black, but the little grasses are cute.
Yeah. It gives you a little bit of hope for new life, I think.
Yeah, other than that, our phone lines got fixed, I'd say less than a month ago. And then
Wow.
I've been doing these 6 classes, and I guess what I kind of already plugged is I'm finding it more and more important to write these essays and do these projects and write these speeches on things that I think are very important to me pertaining to wildlife. And I'm really encouraged and discouraged at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
Because every time I write a new paper, I get to reach people, and my classmates learn a lot from me. But at the same time, I think it's public knowledge, and it's not. So I'm discouraged because I think they know more than they do, but I'm encouraged that I'm teaching them. So
There you
go. Yeah.
That's the way to be. That's the way to be. Wow. I guess I'll just ask you what your latest paper maybe was about. What have you been writing about?
Yeah, so my latest paper was on legislative acts and the most influential to wildlife, fish and wildlife. Mm-hmm. So not only like I knew a lot, and then I wrote this research paper and I learned a lot of stuff, and I got to embark that knowledge onto others. So
right.
Yeah.
There you go. Well,
yeah.
I mean, shoot, that's. Do you get to do any of that research on your own? Like go out and collect data on your own, or is it a lot of just computer searching and doing things like that?
This one's a lot of computer searching. I have done like projects and essays and stuff on my like hunting experiences, like with mountain lion hunting and that sort of thing, and like what I know of it. And those, like with the experience stuff, I do projects on it, but they tend to be more like ethical and emotional. And but that's really important too, because when I talk about mountain lion hunting, that a lot of people don't understand, I get to put a spin on, like I can show them my dog and how happy he is, you know.
Right, exactly.
But with the more like research based papers, it's not me in my acts really. It's me going out and finding this information, like the Lacey Act of 1900 and Pittman-Robertson Act of 1937, which I guess we can talk about if you wanted to.
Yeah, those immediately go right over my head, so I would be interested to know exactly what they were. I have no clue.
Yeah, so pretty much what I talked about in my paper was you can have all these really cool wildlife acts, right? Like everybody wants to conserve wildlife, but then they started running into this problem of, well, how are we going to fund that? Because everyone says they want nature here, they want wildlife here, but like you can write that on paper all you want, but without the funds to do anything about it, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And that's where the Pittman-Robertson Act of 1937 and the Dingell-Johnson Act of 1950 come in. And these acts together are really cool because they're participant-based. So what the Pittman-Robertson Act is, and yeah, I'll expand on that in a minute. But the Pittman-Robertson Act is an excise tax, meaning it's on the manufacturers of hunting equipment and firearms. So any firearms owner actually kind of helps this funding.
Okay.
So that's not just hunting equipment, but it's an 11% tax on firearms, ammunition, hunting equipment. And the Dingell-Johnson Act is the same thing, a manufacturer's tax on all fishing equipment. So participant funded means you pretty much have to, these funds that fund the wildlife nationwide are funded from firearms owners and fishermen. And I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And like at first, the Pittman-Robertson Act, they tried to say hunting equipment only, but then you get into this big debate of if you buy a pistol, it can still be used for hunting.
Right.
So like, who's
Right.
So they just kind of covered all firearms and ammunition. So I always give firearms owners a big credit in that when I'm talking about this, because it's like, yeah, hunters and fishers, and there's another big group, and that's all firearms owners, because they do put into the Pittman-Robertson Act money.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's what funds it even today. Like, it hasn't changed.
And yeah. So a lot of people, and even when you Google it, it's kind of misinterpreted sometimes, because it says it's a federal aid, but like, yeah, it's collected federally, but the people who actually put into that fund are only those three groups: hunters, fishers, firearms owners. So even when you Google it real quick, they're like, oh yeah, wildlife gets federal funding. It's like, yeah, but you gotta watch out for who puts into that fund.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it goes down to like the state level, and it gets divvied up throughout the states. And then the states actually, like most of them, run their wildlife programs. They get 75% funding through those two acts, and 25% of their funding through license fees. So it's really important.
Right. Yeah.
And then that's where like hunters and fishers have the very big, they should be very prideful of that, I think, because not a bit of taxpayer money, like income tax money or sales tax or anything like that, goes into supporting the local wildlife. It's all hunters, fishers, firearms owners.
Wow. Wow. Do you know or have a number on that at all?
About how much we get? No, because it varies widely. I mean, like this year, a lot of people are going out buying firearms and stuff, right? So that's all going to put into that tax. And with COVID and everything, a lot of people got outside more. That was the one benefit I see, you know?
Right. Oh,
everyone's like, all the fishing equipment was sold out and everything like that. Yeah, and I'd like to point out too that it's actually written in the law somewhere, and I don't know the verbiage, but the gist of it is to participate, to get some of that Pittman-Robertson-Dingell-Johnson Act money, the state has to be what's called self-sustaining. So they cannot put a law into effect to tax their citizens' income tax money or anything like that, because then that voids the Pittman-Robertson Act and the Dingell-Johnson Act. So they have to be self-sustaining. So that's why I can say in confidence that no funding comes from income tax, sales tax, things like that.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That, you said they passed that in 1900?
So no, the Pittman-Robertson Act was 1937, and the Dingell-Johnson was 1950. Yeah.
It's still been a while.
Wildlife Act. Yeah. Our first Wildlife Act was the Lacey Act of 1900, and it bans all trafficking of illegal wildlife, saying if you took this illegally, it's illegal for you to take it somewhere else and sell it, pretty much.
I didn't even know that either. Man, I'm telling you, I wish Maverick was here. He probably knows some of this stuff.
Is he more wildlife-based?
Yes.
Like a wildlife nerd like I am?
100%, yeah. I have no clue. I will say that, and we actually talked about this in the last episode, I will say that one thing I have noticed about wildlife this year is that coyotes, and like the number of coyotes in the area has like skyrocketed this whole last year, just an immense amount. It's crazy. But that's what I've seen. That's little as a farmer can do. So
Did
yeah.
something bad happen to them last year? 'Cause usually coyotes, like their population will explode when you actually start trying to shoot them because they have like I heard this the other day. They have like a hierarchy within their packs, and only one like couple is allowed to breed. But then
Really?
once you kill one of those couples, like if you kill the male or female, then it like flips them upside down, and then all of them breed. And also,
Oh.
we talked a little bit about like with the fires and everything. Once the population feels stressed, they'll actually have more offspring. So it'd be interesting if there's something bad that happened to them last year, or if someone took out the alpha male, or
I have
there
no
could be a lot of
clue.
stuff that went.
Well, I can tell you right now, it wasn't me. I'm not good enough shot for that. But I don't know. I mean, it's just been a bad drought, but I can't think of anything
Yeah.
else. Who was it? Well, Joey Gasnick, the guy I was talking to, the USDA wildlife specialist,
Yeah.
he said that it's because last summer in July, we got like 5 inches of rain right at the beginning of July. And I guess it was perfect timing for right whenever the pups were coming out of the den. And I guess it helped them not
Survival
die.
rate went up.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so. And so he said that the number just skyrocketed. And I had told him that I had noticed that as well because every night, I mean, we've got them out here in our pasture and I pot shot at them, but I never hit anything that I know of. But they just, I don't know. I just noticed that they gone way up. And so I didn't know
Survival rate has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that third factor. Like, and that'll be the case with anything. So I'm hoping we have a really good survival rate for everything around this fire scar. But that's being really optimistic since there's a lot of food missing.
Right. Well, and have you seen very much of a difference already? It's springtime, so babies should be kind of starting to pop up. So I don't know, what have you seen?
It's interesting. Well, like on this fire's edge, like the edge of where it got to, there's been a lot of wildlife, and I think that's because everything that was within the fire scar had kind of moved out, which I'm hoping is not problematic, but I don't see how it couldn't be. Like with bobcats, for instance, we've seen a lot of bobcat track on the outside of that burn, like right on the edge of that burn scar.
Right.
And so much bobcat track that we're hoping that they don't compete with each other and starve each other out, because I think a lot of their territory is burnt up now. So it's kind of odd. We want to say like, yeah, we're seeing a ton of wildlife. They're everywhere, but they're here because they can't be somewhere else.
Right.
So, yeah, so I don't know how it's going to play out. But...
So it's actually, that is interesting. I never would have thought about that. There's so much that they're actually going to compete and actually be a detriment. Is that what you're saying?
It's very possible. Very possible, yeah, especially with an animal like a predator such as a bobcat or even mountain lions, bears, because they have such a big territory that they call their own, that usually on the landscape they can kind of separate from each other and be like, this is mine, that's yours.
Right.
But they don't have as much territory anymore, and there's still just as many of them.
Right.
So they'll start competing with each other.
Whoa. That is weird. So I can't even imagine what that would be like. Or I'm assuming you probably don't get to just see it because, it's wildlife and all that. But it's not.
Well, it'd be kind of like, like if you live in a subdivision and half of it burns down, but then the other half, like the people who lose their houses just move in with you.
Right. Oh.
I mean, you could see where some conflict would arise.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I know that well, my watch is talking to me. You're still living up in the mountains, right? Or pretty far up there? Yeah. So I guess, is it changing for where you're at? Like, do you see more animal sign closer to your house where it's a lived-in area where you wouldn't normally, animals would avoid it, right?
Not so much. I live in a place, there's only 3 houses, and only 2 of them are occupied. I guess we have a lot of dogs, so that might scare some animals off.
Right.
But we're also right by the river, and there's this nice little green belt by the river now because it didn't burn. So that's really nice. I don't know. I feel like we're seeing a lot of wildlife just because of what I said. Like we have that little green belt by the river, and that wildlife is coming down to that green belt because they don't have anywhere else to be.
Right.
Yeah, but then this is kind of a side tangent, I guess. But and drove through the East Troublesome Fire, which was on the other side of the divide in Grand County. And it made me feel lucky because it is devastating over there. It's complete moonscape.
Really?
The fire just burnt so hot that it just left standing toothpicks. Like it just ate all of the limbs off the trees and everything. And so that one's going to be more detrimental than ours.
I didn't even know that. My goodness. I did not realize that.
If you take a road trip over there, that East Troublesome Fire, it was the fastest growing fire. The Cameron Peak Fire was the largest in acreage, but it had been burning for a long time.
Right.
Like August to October. But yeah, it's pretty sad over there, and they're doing a lot of rebuilding, and it's pretty sad to see like multi-million-dollar homes, these like really nice houses,
right?
And then you've got people living in their camper that they pulled up,
right?
And you hope that there's water, and it's really sad.
My goodness, have you personally gone out there?
I drove through it.
Oh.
But just tell because there's some houses that didn't burn, and like the rock structures are still there, and you can tell that they were just these like really beautiful homes. And then you've got a family living in like not even a fifth wheel, and with the cost of like lumber and everything now, I didn't even think about that. With the cost of rebuilding. Yeah, I don't know. There's some people out there having some really hard times with these fires still.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know that that's something that we really recognize enough, is that there are people still having to recover and will continue to for probably the next couple of years, even if not more, from these fires. And
I didn't even think about like the lumber and the metal cost, how it skyrocketed lately. Like I wonder how many homes that like stopped the production of just because they don't have enough.
Oh, absolutely. Exports and bringing in as much as they can, they still can't keep up. It's pretty insane, actually, how much lumber costs have gone up in the last little bit. It's lumber, fuel, everything like that. But all of that goes back to all of the kind of some of these natural disasters that have happened this year. I mean, Colorado was just obliterated with fires. And then we've got a large drought throughout, like the majority of the Corn Belt in the United States. I mean, there's just all sorts of stuff going on. And I guess natural disasters are nothing new to this world, but we sure are seeing the effects of it, that's for sure.
It's always something new, and that's not to discredit it, but it's always something every year, it seems like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. It is always something coming up, and there's always something, well, I mean, back over a year ago now, COVID was the new thing, which is rough.
I'm so over that. That's like a bad word to me now.
It is. It really is. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek, just tired of talking about it almost, but I guess is that the reason, I that's just a personal question, but is that the reason that you're doing classes online, or is that just because you're in the mountains?
No, I didn't have a choice. I'd take them in person if I had the choice.
Right.
But they're all online.
Wow.
So, yeah, next semester I got accepted into the University of Wyoming. So
there you go.
I'll be exploring that. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You'll be going University of Wyoming next year then?
Hopefully. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I have also a temporary job with U.S. Fish and Wildlife as a hatchery personnel.
Nice.
Yeah, starting the end of May. So that'll be exciting. I'm a government employee. So
there you go.
It'll be a new experience.
What does being a hatchery employee have to do? What is that?
So I will be aiding in, we call it like fish husbandry. Mm-hmm. So pretty much just keeping alive, and then also spawning. So making a bunch of new little baby fish.
Right.
And they have lake trout, cutthroat trout, rainbows, browns. And the cool thing about the facility I'll be at is they have the Wyoming toad, mm-hmm. which is actually endangered. So wow. I will be producing a bunch of Wyoming toads to hopefully get them off of that endangered species list.
Right. Wow, I didn't even know. What is special about? Do you know what's special about a Wyoming toad? Because I've never even heard of a Wyoming toad.
No, it's just a toad, really, but it's a species of toad that's going downhill, or was going downhill really fast. And actually, ag people would love this.
Yeah.
When they first discovered the toad and like trying to figure out what to do with it, it was on a bunch of grazing lands. Mm-hmm. So their first instinct was to go, okay, no more grazing. We need to protect this toad.
Right.
Well, when they said no more grazing, the toad population tanked.
Oh.
And they figured out that it was the grazing that was actually helping these toads, and that's why there were so many toads where they were grazing.
Wow.
So grazing is very healthy for the landscape in a lot of ways. We don't have buffalo anymore, and it's cool because I have seen a lot of biologists kind of take that shift mm-hmm. into using that as an environmental tool now.
Wow.
So
grazing.
Yeah.
Probably mostly cows, I would say, right?
The cattle is the big one. Yeah.
That's crazy. That brings up so many questions in my mind, but I can't just assume that you're an expert on Wyoming toads, because that's probably a wrong thing to assume.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not yet. Hopefully I'll learn a lot more about them.
Right.
But it is interesting, and like, I think a lot of people go to these grazing sites while there's cattle in there, and mm-hmm. they think like, oh my gosh, these cattle are destroying this. Like, look how awful this is. But right. They don't realize the benefits of and what used to be on that landscape.
Right.
So, yeah, there's a lot of misinterpretation about that too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know that people really, I guess uneducated people in this area don't realize that grazing correctly and not overgrazing and not leaving it tall, but correctly grazing can actually make your fields flourish a lot.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Exactly. And this is like a total side note rant I have of mine, but it also cracks me up when, and this is changing too, thank goodness. But when people say like the whole stay on the trail aspect, right? And they say that when people go off the trail, that they just completely ruin the environment. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, but do elk stay on a trail? Like, do deer stay on the trail? Like, they have their game trails, but like, really?
Exactly.
And when seeing like what cattle do that's actually beneficial, it's like there's no way that I can make that impact if I wanted to. Like, maybe with a skid steer, right?
Right.
And then there's been some research and biologists coming out saying that the best way to hike in a group is mm-hmm. actually to spread out and spread your impact out farther.
Right.
So
that makes sense in my brain.
Yeah. And that's why they say that hunters have even less of an impact, like on the land that they're walking on is because they're off trail a lot.
Oh yeah.
They're bushwhacking. So they don't leave as much of a footprint as somebody who travels the trails.
Yeah, I believe that 100%. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's making me have some flashbacks back to going hunting with Maverick and Tyson at the beginning of this year, and that's exactly right, because we didn't ever walk hardly in a line. We just walked around each other. That makes total sense, actually. That is interesting as heck. I never would have thought about that.
And I've been speaking on this for like forever, because, you know, like whenever you go hiking with an environmental group or even a school, they're always like, stay on the trail, stay on the trail. And I've always been like, no.
Well, in my mind, it doesn't make sense to leave this big, hard pack dirt that nothing will ever grow in, and it's a big line through the forest, versus, you know, just going everywhere and having, I don't know, just a couple footprints versus.
I mean, I think there's space and time, you know, like take like Horsetooth, for instance.
Yeah.
Like a trail there is to be so used that it's probably better to have the trail than to spread out. And you have like trail maintenance people come in and they're constantly putting in water bars or like messing with this or that. So that's like a completely different world.
Right. Yeah, well, and there's more than one way to skin a cat too, for sure.
I can tell you that again. Yeah.
Yeah, you get that in probably a more literal sense, I'd say.
Yeah, but there's more than one ways to skin a cat. I've done it more than one way, so.
Oh, that's interesting. Did you end up getting a cat between last time we talked and now?
I've gotten a few bobcats.
There you go.
I haven't taken another lion, just because, the lion thing is interesting because you have to have an active mountain lion tag in your pocket to go lion hunting.
Right.
Like you can take people along with you or whatever, but I don't want to burn my tag. I don't want to take a lion and then not have a tag so that I can't bring my dogs out, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So a lot of townsmen, people that own dogs, actually don't shoot lions because they want to run their dogs more than they want to kill a lion.
Wow. Huh. That is crazy. Just because you want to run your dogs. Wow. See, that's a whole nother...
Yep.
That's a whole thing I never would have understood or even thought about.
Yeah.
Just because is it that much fun? Is it that much fun to just go run your dogs?
Yeah. I mean, okay, for all of you that have cattle dogs or any type of like ag dog, working dog, you love to watch them work.
True.
It's like your pride and joy when they work and you're like, yeah, my dog just did that. Same type of thing. It's a working dog. So
that's true.
You love to see them work and you love to see like them do what they're born to do. And it takes training.
Right.
So you can't just like go and kill the first lion and then like they need to know what they're doing. So you need to train your dogs. You need to take them out a lot.
Huh. That is crazy. That's a valid point, actually. You know, always having a working dog, it is a good feeling to have a dog that knows what it's doing.
Right? And it has a purpose. Yeah.
Right. Right. How long have you had your dogs? Like, how long have you worked with them?
My dad got his first bobcat dog 9 years ago. And I've been on and off. And then I just got more into it a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. And this year we have a puppy. Well, he's just over a year old now. Yeah. But we're trying to get him going. And it was so cool. The first time we took him out, he was only, like 10 months old. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, he had never been near a lion or a lion track or anything like that, but we knew he was bred for it, and he's a hound. Mm-hmm. And so I take him out of the truck first. I show him a lion track, and he just goes off. Like, he is extremely excited. And I'm like, that's great. And then we let the experienced dogs go first, and then we let this puppy go. and it was actually a double track. There was 2 tracks, so 2 lions. And yeah, but so my puppy takes off with the experienced dogs, and he holds up. So we have to go see what he's up to, and he is underneath a lion by himself, baying at this lion.
No.
And we're like, oh my goodness, this puppy just caught this lion on his first track ever, the first track ever put his nose in. We were so proud. And then the other experienced dogs took the other lion.
Right.
So we have 1 lion treated puppy, and then the other dogs took the other lion. And so we collected the puppy, and now we got to go collect the other dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And all but one of those other dogs turned back, kind of because there was 2 lions, you know, they're like, which one do I go to type thing.
Right.
And then we were worried because we had 1 dog. You never want 1 dog on a running lion.
Right.
It can just be problematic.
Right.
So then we were worried about that 1 dog on that second cat.
Mm-hmm.
And we put Puppy out again, 10 months old. We put him out again. We find the track. And he goes and catches up with that other dog. And they ended up losing the lion in the rocks. But I remember just like me and my looking at each other like, this dog's going to be good.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's just that pride, like, that he's so born for this. Like, I can't describe it any other way. And, like, your dogs always give you 110%.
Oh, yeah.
So the you can do for them is give 100% back to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, really cool.
That is super cool.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious. Well,
I hope I described that well. It was like a 10-hour day that I tried to describe in like 15 seconds. So
no, that was good. That was good. I can just sit here and I like to imagine.
I was going. I ended the day at like 8.5 miles, and that's 8.5 miles on foot in like it wasn't quite knee deep snow in the Rocky Mountains. So
right.
I was tired.
I believe that. Oh, I believe that for sure. My goodness gracious. Yeah, I guess I'll plug it a little bit because it's just cool. But we've got on the team Bailey Yacovetto. I call her Bailey Avocado, but she's a hunter over in Steamboat, and she did get her lion this year, just like a month ago, I think, probably. And I just think that's cool. Yeah, she's pretty cool.
The dogs too?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're her dogs. I think that she has like a neighbor that does it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's really hard. I mean, people don't give it a lot of credit because they think, like your dog runs, trees a cat, and then you go get your dog.
Right.
It's like, yeah, but it takes you a full day, and like, I don't think you can keep up with me. Good luck.
Mm-hmm. Right. Once that adrenaline kicks in, it's impossible. You just beeline towards a cat. I can't even imagine what that'd be like. You have to be in pretty good shape, too.
Yeah, and you got to trust your dogs. This last lion that we treed, it was like, a couple weeks ago. It was far enough away from any roads too, that it took us 4 hours to get to the lion and the dogs.
Yeah, and
they were still there. And that's another thing you got to train your dogs to do is know and have faith that we're coming for you. Your job is to stay with that cat.
Right.
So your dog needs to be able to hold that lion there for hours. And they do.
Wow. That's crazy. So they're just, because obviously dogs are way faster than us. And so they just take off after this. I'm trying to get the whole process in my brain correct. They just take off once they got a track till they tree the cat and then sit there and just howl till you find the howl? You just go after the sound?
Pretty much. No, we have GPS collars.
Oh.
So, which in Colorado, that is great, but they're Rocky Mountains, right? So
Right.
these collars on flat land, you can see where your dogs are at, like miles and miles. But with all our rock structure, you can lose a dog like half a mile away. So it adds an element to it. So yeah, you put your dogs on the tracks, they take off, and then usually you try and watch your dogs on your GPS until you lose them to see the fastest way to them. Are you going to take this road? Are you going to take that draw? Like things like that. And then you walk to them. Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so I guess my next question is, how many cats have you treed with your dogs?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. A lot.
About a million.
No. We probably tree as a family over 10 cats or 10 lions a year. Bobcats, it just depends on the year and like whether you cut them or not. But that's not to say that everyone can do that. Our dogs are really good.
Right.
And we've caught one lion out of the past 5 times we've tried. Mm-hmm. So it's not easy. We just gotta, it's such a lifestyle that like every time it snows, that's what we're doing. That like we'll cut out a lot to be like, yep, it's snowing. Sorry, everybody that I had plans with tomorrow. We're going hunting.
That's funny.
So my friends are very, what's the word? They understand that. And I'm lucky to have my friends. They understand how much it means to me and my dogs. And I'll just cut out on them because it snowed, which, you know, we all have our passions, right?
Right. Oh, for sure. For sure. I don't blame you at all. Not one bit. Because that's just so cool. I can't even imagine it. And then oh man. I
have a lot of videos and stuff on my Instagram. That kind of show. I keep trying to get videos of them taking off, you know, of them like once we let them off the leashes. Right. But that moment is just so like, I'm holding dogs. It's really hard. I need a GoPro.
There you go. GoPro, put a helmet on or something like that, and just boom. Yeah. That would be cool. I would definitely share that because, oh man, I can't even. I'm almost speechless because my brain is just going a million miles an hour trying to think about what it'd be like. I don't know.
Right, and I think I'm explaining it well, but then like I was like, yeah, like this is how it is, and I take my cousin out, and he sees these dogs, and even him, and I talk to him a lot, and he knows the dogs, and he's like, wow, like that, I just had a different picture of that in my head. Right. I'm like, well, weird. Okay. Weird. Like, how do you think it was gonna go? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I guess are the dogs your favorite part, or is it the chase? Is it the adrenaline? What's your favorite part about it?
The relationship with the dogs, for sure. Ooh. Because like it's like none other. Like I said, they give you 110%. Like, no kidding, these dogs, especially I mean, certain dogs are more dirty than others, but if they end up fighting a lion, they're not going to back down.
Really?
They give their full, and they count on you. Right. So the relationship with the dogs is like none that you can have with someone else. Like having someone count on you fully and needing to fulfill that is really special.
That's crazy. You said fighting a lion? Like if a lion decides to turn on them, that's something they got to do.
Then it's a bad day. Yeah. And knock on wood, thankfully, I have never had to deal with a lion fighting our dogs. We did have a dog slapped by a lion, and he's never hunted again. It like bursted his. So what this dog did, he's a really good nose, but he runs quiet. He doesn't bark until he sees the lion. Right. And this lion was bedded down, like this lion was sleeping, and then this dog comes up in this lion's face and bays. So the lion slapped him.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I just slapped his head. He burst an eardrum. I think he might have some brain damage from it because there's a lot of stuff he can't do anymore. And he doesn't run anymore, even though, I mean, he's retired. We love him. But he just won't run.
Oh.
So, and then there's been instances, I know, of we had a guy in Wyoming, and he had a pack of 7 dogs all get killed by one lion.
No way.
So it's not, yeah, it's pretty crazy. And the danger of it is, as soon as a lion figures out that it can kill a dog, it's pretty much all over. Like, that lion has gotta go.
Right. Oh, for sure. I can imagine that. Whoa. That is insane. Yeah, knock on wood for sure. Knock on wood for sure.
Yeah. We have had a bobcat. That was an interesting chase. We had a bobcat not free and end up fighting our dogs. And it was really interesting because there's trees everywhere. Like, this cat could have went up any tree. And it just turned to fight instead. And 3 dogs on that one bobcat. So our dogs won. It was dead when we got there, the bobcat was.
Right.
But our dogs are kind of beat up. A bunch of stitches and antibiotics for all 3 of them. So
for sure. Oh, I can imagine.
And that was just a bobcat.
Right. What's the size of a bobcat versus a dog, just out of curiosity?
Well, big bobcats, 40 pounds.
Oh.
So they're comparable. The dogs are going to be shaped differently, obviously. Bobcats are going to be shorter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, yeah.
Huh. I would never have guessed. I guess I imagine a really, really mean house cat that's large.
Yep, that's pretty much what it is. Except for like 5 times the size.
Right. I don't even know what a house cat would weigh, but
Got
5
me going
times
on
the size.
tangents again. This is good.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't even imagine. That's so cool. It just obliterates my mind.
Yeah.
That the dogs have that ability.
I feel like I could. Yeah, I feel like I could do like 3 podcasts on this right in a row. But...
Yeah, honestly, you could, because there's just so much. But that's just crazy to me. Okay, so this is a silly question that just popped into my mind. Who's your favorite dog then? Is it like picking a favorite kid?
My favorite dog? Yeah. Well, you love them each for different reasons.
Right.
You know, like my puppy just seems to be a natural, and we're all really excited about him. And then we have our lead dog, like that just tends to figure out, and they all kind of like fit into their own little niche in the team, if you will. Like Skunk's the lead dog, and his best ability is rock piles. He can figure out rock piles really well, and just being out front. And then Hook, the second in command, as we call him, Hook is a really he's a really good tree dog, meaning that he won't leave the tree. He'll sit underneath that tree until the world comes to an end. And then we have Ditto is a really good cold nose dog, meaning if the track's not there very well, it's not in the snow very well, she can figure things out with her nose. That's really good. Wow. So there's just so many. And then we have a little dog named Sis, and Sis is just fast, and she keeps up with whoever's out front, which is really helpful because we're fairly confident that that first dog, the front dog, will always have Sis back it up, so there'll never be just one dog on a lion. Right. Sis will always be with it. Dang. So they all have their own special ability, if you will.
Right. No, that makes sense. And that is a totally classic dog mom answer, too. So I almost didn't expect anything different.
They're all important.
Yeah.
And it's cool. They all work as like such a team. And you can hear them talking to each other that way, too. Like if they lose a cat, they'll all start barking, and
Mm-hmm.
you know that they're talking to
Right.
each other, you know, and then one will just take off and the rest will go with it because that one said, hey, it's over here, you know.
That's
So
cool. That is cool. I'll
yeah.
give you that. That is cool. They all have their own purposes. Oh, man.
Uh-huh.
Well, that is pretty
Yeah.
classic dog mom. Probably all moms, pretty much, because I don't think it's possible to choose a favorite kid. Although I know that
Yeah.
I'm my mom's favorite, but that's besides the point.
Does she listen to these?
I don't know. I hope she does, because she'd probably agree. She'd say, yeah, Caleb's my favorite. I'm the second youngest,
Yeah,
so...
do your siblings listen to these, though?
I don't think so.
Oh,
They
okay,
all
so
just...
you're not too much in trouble. You didn't get in trouble then.
No, I won't be in trouble. And even if I am, I mean, I may be the second youngest, but I'm still the strongest out of all my brothers, so I'm not too worried.
Oh man, I'm gonna text them all and make sure that they listen to this one then.
You got to make sure that they get in here to find out what I've been talking trash about them, huh? That's funny. Well, cool. All right. Well, Naomi, I appreciate you being on here for part 2. I think that we're going to kind of taper off here, and this is, man, you were about right. You almost could get 3 episodes out of this. It's just crazy to know how much or how intricate the whole process is, and learning all sorts of craziness.
Yeah, and I just like to plug in again, you know, like I've been writing all of my essays on this. I've been doing all of my college projects on running hounds, speeches on running hounds, because there is an attack on our right to do that. Like the Humane Society of the United States is currently gathering signatures to end what they call trophy lion hunting in Colorado. So it's really important. And just like with you guys in agriculture, just write about what you're passionate about and get people educated on this, because if you're educated on it, you know what it's about. And
boom,
they're just doing an emotional tie. So it's really important to combat all of this emotional voting with some real stuff.
Right. Boom. There you have it. That's exactly what they need to hear. That really is. Because the more that we educate ourselves, the better, more influential we can be and smart in our decisions. That's
that too. Yep.
Man, that is a good deal. That is so cool. Well, I really do appreciate it, Naomi, and hopefully we'll be in contact, and always, let us know whenever we can do anything. As for you members,
for sure.
You guys just keep on keeping on. This year, my time, along with the rest of my team, is almost up. It's coming to an end. And so whether or not this podcast continues, or if it continues with the next team, we're going to find out. Let me know, actually. That's a good idea, is let me know what you guys want to do. If you want to hear me pass this on to the next team, email me and find out, or maybe I can host and have one of the next teammates as maybe a co-host, or do whatever. But let us know what you guys want to do, or what you want us to do, what you want it to sound like, everything like that, because this year is coming to an end. So stay involved and keep up to date on our social medias. Hopefully you like the Colorado FFA state theme this year. That's pretty cool. And just stay real, folks, and we'll talk to you later.